Rosemary Clooney is among the best friends a song ever had, and proven over the years by her appearances on radio, television, motion pictures, nightclubs, concerts, and memorable recordings. Her newest CD is Rosemary Clooney, Count Basie Orchestra, at long last. It's a pleasure to welcome Miss Clooney back to our little program here at CBS. Neighbor, thanks for coming on.
Hi, honey.
Romantic Valentine with the new hubby, fairly new hubby.
I've known him for 40 years.
I understand that.
As new as it can be.
But he's only been married to you for 2 years or so.
That's right. Not quite 2 even, you know. Just fine. We're working out just fine.
Romantic?
I yell a lot, and so does he.
Romantic Valentine's holiday?
Of course, of course. He didn't give me anything for Valentine's Day. But I didn't give him anything either, so,
so you're even.
So we're even, right.
Now,
right.
You never told me about the wedding. Was it back in Kentucky?
Yeah. I went back to St. Patrick's Church, where I was baptized and where I was confirmed, had my first communion. And where the priest was tough, man. He was tough. We had to get every paper known to man. My divorce paper, you know, his divorce paper, his marriage, that, you know, so that never happened really, you know, so all of these things had to be brought. And then they asked me for a death certificate because Joe had died. I felt that that was a kind of a strange thing to ask his last wife, you know, so...
Well, it wasn't all the papers,
well,
you know.
So you just got my line.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because I said, no, that's all right. We spent too much time together. The priest said, I said to the priest, could I bring the obit from the New York Times? And he said yes. So that is what I did. And after all the papers and all the things were done, then we decided we were going to do it, and we had grandchildren and do the things. My maid of honor was 12 years old, only 69-year-old bride with a 12-year-old maid of honor, and bridesmaids, twin granddaughters. Best man, 18-year-old Jordan, you know, first grandchild.
Okay.
Yep.
And what about brother Nick?
Oh, Nicky. Nicky was there with the, you know, did all the things in church that he was supposed to, read all the right
Nephew
things.
George?
Nephew George didn't make it just as well. I wanted to be the star. But we did attract quite a crowd. My Uncle William came in, and Uncle William was in a wheelchair, and he looks a little like Bob Hope,
oh, really?
and the same vintage, you know. So the whole church applauded him as he was wheeled up, and he took bows as he was coming up, and then Bob came in.
Oh, Bob Hope was there?
Bob was there, yeah. Bob and Dolores flew in for it. And he was singing, I'm getting married in the morning. And Dolores said, shut up, you're in church. And so they were there. And
how's the new knee working out? You had a reconstruction done on your knee,
yeah.
huh?
Good, except for, you know, I used to laugh at my grandparents when they'd say, well, you know, it's going to rain, or, you know, with the cold that's coming in, and all these things. Of course those things happen. That's true. That's what, when it gets a little chilly, the titanium doesn't work as well.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
The grandkids don't stick refrigerator magnets on it, do they?
Yeah. How'd you know? Did I tell you?
No, I read it in the notes this afternoon.
Well, of course, Rosemary, dummy.
And what about when George was not rich and famous? He stayed at your house and you gave him chores and stuff to do, didn't you?
Well, yeah. So he did them sometimes and sometimes not. He knew something, though. He was a good kid. Always was, and I think always will be. Really good kid. He went to every audition, Tom. Did maybe, well, Steven Spielberg told me that he did 20 pilots. And I think that must be true. He did everything. And was trying to get, you know, but when he started, he sure did go fast.
Overnight sensation after 20 pilots and God knows how many tries.
You know,
overnight sensation.
And go to everything. And if, you know, there'd be, it didn't matter where it was or how small the part was, he would try out. In any event, I left home one time and said, look, I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks. We've got a fence going back up around the swimming pool because the kids are little again. You know, we have grandchildren. So how about painting the fence for me?
Okay.
So
and how old is George at this time?
George was 22 maybe.
Okay.
So, you know, old enough to know better. But he was pretty smart, though, because he went to my bathroom where I could see out the back, saw just how far the olive tree would cut in front of the fence, painted that side, went over here and right to the wall. That's all he did. I looked out the bathroom window. Good job.
Yeah.
Except... not quite. I just decided to take a walk out by the, you know, the end of the property there. no paint on the other side at all.
Licking a
Thanks,
promise, George.
Licking
huh?
a promise.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
it.
Getting back to Mr. DiPaolo for a second,
Yes.
the fair Dante.
Yes, the
how
fair
did,
Dante.
How did you meet your husband?
Dante was a dancer at Paramount. And Nick Castle was the choreographer on the second picture that I did with Bob Hope, something that no one has ever seen, not even Dolores, called Here Come the Girls. It was one of the worst pictures in the world. But anyway, I was happy, I was in it, and I was going to sing and dance, and I can't dance at all. And finally, Nick Castle gave up and said, Dante, take her over in the corner and teach her these simple little steps that she's doing, you know, like that. And so he did, and he tried very hard and broke it down and it was fine. And he was very patient with me, and I learned a little simple
Couple of steps, right?
A couple of little steps. That's all I had to do, but he was very patient with me. And then we were the same age. And so we started going out after work, going across the street to Lucy's, and we'd end up having water fights. We were both too young to be believed, you know, but dumb things like that.
Sure, sure.
You know. And then we started going down to the pier and sticking our heads through those things, you know, and having pictures taken.
Oh, sure, sure.
You know, Pacific Ocean Park. And had really good times. So we went out for a while, and then I married somebody else. He married somebody else, and I didn't see him for a long time. So 25 years ago, driving down the street from naturally a psychiatrist's office, and he was having
naturally, right?
Naturally,
Yeah.
of course, and he was having therapy for a bad, you know, dancer's problem.
Oh, okay.
Bad knees,
bad
sure.
knees, bad back.
Bad back, and so I hear Rosella, and nobody has called me that before or since. And I turn around, I got a scarf on. It's a lot of years later, you know. I've got 5 teenagers at home. In that split second, I turn around and I see Dante, who hasn't changed that much. Except, well, he didn't change at all because he was driving the same car. 1956 T-Bird, he had it. That's been driving along. And so I asked him for dinner, and he said, okay, but I don't know your phone number. And so I said, it's Crestview, so and so and so and so. And he wrote it in the dust, in the T-Bird. And then he called me, and he didn't leave.
And the rest is history, as
And
they say.
the rest was so tough, though, Tom.
Let me take you back to this picture you made with Bob Hope that
Yeah.
nobody's ever seen.
Yeah.
Did you ever want to be an actor, an actress?
No. No, that's tough.
Tougher than singing?
Oh, God, yes. I take my work under my hat. I can sing anywhere. I can sing anywhere in the world, and all I have to depend on is someone wonderful musician like Peter Matz that you're going to hear later, and myself, and that's all, and the words. And I can get that across. And I feel so lucky to be able to do it.
And not have to worry about being too tall for the part, too short for the part,
sure.
not right for the part.
Everything is perfect. And they say, my God, you know, you're the best that we've ever heard. And this reading is so much, and, you know, so you get all built up and suddenly you're taller than the leading man. And they say, oh, well, too bad.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Did you ever want to audition? Were you ever asked to read for a part?
Oh, on the waterfront, the
really?
Eva Marie Saint part. Yeah. I kind of wanted to do that. Marlon Brando was gorgeous. Is gorgeous. Just
We all were.
weren't we? Yeah. Damn.
I mean, I've got an old tape of you at home that we've talked about, the Edsels, you know, where you were with Bing Crosby and Frank Sinatra a jillion years
cute,
ago.
Very
Yeah,
cute.
very, very cute. Very cute.
Very cute. Yep. Those guys weren't bad either. Old Bing and
Nope,
Frank.
they certainly were. We are chatting here with Rosemary Clooney. The new CD is called Rosemary Clooney, Count Basie Orchestra, at long last. We'll be back with Rosemary and you on the toll-free after this short break.
Come on along and listen to the lullaby of Broadway, the hip hooray and ballet hoo, the lullaby of Broadway.
With Rosemary Clooney, here's Annette on the toll-free in Newburgh, Missouri. Hi, Annette, and welcome to CBS. Hello.
Yes, my question is to Rosemary.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, well, I would like to ask her, what was it like working with Bing Crosby and Danny Kaye on White Christmas?
Perfect. It was a challenge every day because they were ready the moment that they set foot on the stage, always on time, being always 15 minutes early, very well prepared, and the performance was full out every time. And when They were off camera. They were also there for you so that you could get the right reaction, because they would do the off camera lines.
You know, we've all heard so many stories about Crosby. Like, remember he was on a television program and talked about if he found out his son were living in sin with a woman, he'd kick him out of the house, that he was a strict father and tough on his kid.
I know.
What's the real story on
I just found him, he was the best friend I ever had. He was the best friend that I ever had. I was in the hospital, as you well know, and he heard about it, and I got a letter from England because he had been on safari, and he came back to England and heard about it, and the letter came the next time it could, and he said, if there's anything that you need, these are the numbers, this is where I'll be, call me. He's been there for me too many times when I couldn't really get arrested, as far as getting a job with the kind of cachet that I would have working with him.
And when was that period where you couldn't get arrested?
1970, between 68 is when the everything hit it, Yeah. And
by the way, for those who don't know what that is, somewhere find the documentary we did a long time ago.
Was that a good documentary? I
Yeah.
love that documentary.
Yeah.
That was wonderfully shot too, wasn't it? Very, very moody piece. The one in the living room, that shot in the living room was with, okay, enough of that. Okay, finally, 68, I was in a hospital. And then I started working again, but the jobs that I could get were okay, I could work at the top of the Holiday Inn in Hawthorne, and go from there, maybe a split week in Valencia, so it's okay.
But you were a working mom.
I was working. I had 5 kids. I worked. That's what I did. And then I met Dante again, and we worked together, and he helped me tremendously. And then Bing called me, 1975, and he said, I'm doing a little show on St. Patrick's Day. Would you come to the Dorothy Chandler and do it with me? I said, sure. He said, I want you to do your whole show, though. I want you to do a big hunk for me. I said, okay. So I found out it was his 50th anniversary and just the biggest show in town.
Oh, wow.
So, now you say, oh, my God, I can't wear the kind of tacky dress that I had on
at the Holiday Inn.
Hawthorne. And so he was just sensational. He helped me with that.
Didn't you and he work together in England for the Queen, for royalty?
Sure, yes, and then had 2 tremendous, engagements at the Palladium. The last job that he had was there, that we worked together. It was wonderful.
Annette, great question. Thank you for watching, and thanks for calling tonight, okay?
Okay, Tom?
Yep.
Yeah, is it all right if I can have autographed picture of you?
Okay, I'll put you on hold, get your name and address, we'll put it in the mail, okay?
Okay, and Rosemary, I think you're the best.
Oh, thank you.
There is no doubt about that. Annette, thank you again, and have a nice evening, okay?
And you too.
All right, bye-bye, young lady.
Okay.
Let's go back now to The Big Show on radio with Marlena Dietrich.
Oh, The Big Show, first of all, was with Tallulah. Was on every week, you see. She was the mistress
Of ceremonies?
or master of ceremonies, whichever you prefer.
Host. Your host.
She was the host. She was the host. And
But now she was something, wasn't she?
She was
Tallulah?
sensational.
Yeah.
She was sensational. She didn't like me too much. I don't know why. But anyway, we didn't get along the way that I did with Dietrich. I loved Dietrich. We really were friends. But this Big Show had Meredith Willson with 50 pieces, the orchestra, and they'd have the best people in town, good comics. I had no right to do it, really. I didn't have the credentials. I hadn't done that much. But Manny Sachs was at NBC, and he was my friend at Columbia, and he said, well, why don't you just take Rosemary Clooney and have her do one song with Meredith? So, that meant I got to be on the biggest show that they had on radio, the last gasp of big radio. And that's, I was getting ready after rehearsal and walked down the steps at the theater, and this lady came in with a kind of a raincoat and a babushka and an umbrella that was turned backwards and a shopping bag. And I said, get out of my way, I'm kind of... And then out of all of this peeled this vision in kind of beige chiffon that matched her hair. Stockings matched the dress. Shoes matched the stockings. Good-looking jewelry. I checked that out. It was Dietrich.
And she became a good pal to you, huh?
Yeah.
Came to the birth of every one of your kids, I read today, huh?
Yeah, she did. She did, but she brought me a present, see? So she goes up to the head nurse at St. John's and says, where do you keep the penicillin. And she said, why would you want to know that, Miss Dietrich? And he said, well, I brought some caviar, and it's a perfect temperature for caviar. I could have either gotten a really interesting shot or, yeah. Yeah.
People you've sung with, how do you feel about duets? Are they easy for you, easy to sing with others?
Easy to sing with some and difficult with others. I think it has to do more with range than anything else. My range with Bing was exactly the same. Our ranges were exactly the same. We could pick keys for each other. So we never had to make do with the dramatic parts of the song. I could actually sing the girl's part, you know, because it was in the right register for me. With Frank, with Sinatra, was tough because his register was a little higher. So sometimes we did some duets that were not so hot. On my part, you know, he could sing anything. But we did Some Enchanted Evening and a couple of things like that at Reprise that I'd rather bury someplace.
We all have things back there on the trail we hope nobody ever finds, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
And talk to me here about the house where you live. I've been to your home. It's lovely. It's a wonderful, wonderful big house. Like, who's been there? Maria and Nat Cole, I read, were there quite often. They were good friends of yours?
Yeah. Maria and Nat used to come. I was married to Jose Ferrer, and we used to have dinner parties on Monday night because nobody can give you an excuse. There's nothing going on Monday night.
That's right.
Yeah, so we'd have dinner for 8 people, so we'd choose them kind of carefully, and we'd have them, you know, really kind of often. And Nat and Maria used to come often because they were friends and wonderful people. And Nat wanted to smoke in between courses, you know, so the dining room was just across from where the piano was in the living room, and so he'd just tippy-toe down there and have a cigarette and play. Now imagine
I can imagine
having Nat Cole play piano for you while you're, well, nobody talked much, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. And Gary Cooper's house and the seating arrangement.
Oh, man. I knew you were going to bring this up. I meant to talk to you about it before. Okay. I changed the seating arrangement at Gary Cooper's house because I didn't know any better, and I didn't want to sit next to King Vidor. I didn't have the felt I felt
Why wouldn't you want to sit next to him? He's a charming man.
Well, I know, but I had nothing in common with him. I wanted to sit next to Danny Kaye, you know. No, anyway.
And Ferrer you wanted to sit next to.
Well, that too. That's what I ended up because Joe caught me, you see. And I couldn't do the Danny Kaye thing, so I said, well, I wanted to sit next to you. He said, oh, okay. So that's what I did. So, okay. So I did that. Well, Rocky Cooper was a little upset, a lot upset, and Cole Porter told me. He was in another room, and he was talking to Gene Feldman, Charlie Feldman's wife. And he said, not nice, Rosemary. You do not change place cards. People worry over things like this. They think about it, and this is something that's been planned. It is not a nice thing to do, and I'm surprised at you. And I said, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
And I walked down the hall, opened a door trying to find a ladies' room, and found a lady in the arms of another guy, not her husband. And I went back to Cole and I said, all I did was change place cards. Go down there in that room and take a look and see what's going on.
90210. Here is Snydersville, Pennsylvania. Brenwyn, hello.
Hi, Tom. It's Bronwyn.
Bronwyn, I'm sorry.
That's okay. It's a difficult name.
Yes, it is. And I hope you're not a difficult person.
Not I.
Because if you are, you're out of here. No.
How can it be difficult? I'm from Snydersville. It must have been named after you.
No, way before my time, Bronwyn, but go ahead, please.
Okay. Miss Clooney.
Yes.
What was your most memorable venue?
Actually, Rainbow and Stars in New York.
Mm-hmm. The one that's
in New York
gone
City,
now.
the one that's gone now. I sang there every February for 10 years. And it was on the 65th floor of the old RCA building. And it was...
In my heart, it will always be the RCA building.
Me too.
Yeah.
I don't care what they change the letters
me neither.
to.
No.
I can't. It's the RCA building.
That's correct.
Yes. So, but I would look out. I sang with the jazz group, and I would look out. I would turn my back to the audience while the jazz players were doing their things, and I could look out and see 5 bridges. I could see all of Central Park and all the buildings along the sides. New York never looked as beautiful, you know.
And every now and again up there, you see a helicopter below you.
Sure
remember?
you do, sure you do. And all the planes coming in,
Yeah.
you know, on clear nights. And then you'd have a snowstorm, and suddenly you'd feel as though you were on like a spaceship or something, because the snow was going to the side.
Swirling.
And side, actually absolutely horizontal. Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rainbow and stars, Bronwyn. It's gone, but not forgotten. Thanks for calling tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tom, put me on hold so I can get a picture, please.
Okay, I'm going to put the whole world on hold so you can all get a picture. Jeez. They want
Hold the world.
Yeah, hold the world. I want to get off. Thank you, Bronwyn. And listen, thanks for being my pal on the air, and we'll still be pals off, okay?
I want to.
Okay, sweetheart. And what are you singing for us tonight?
Our love is here to stay.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Okay, we'll continue with Rosemary Clooney and the pianist named Peter...
Peter Matz. Marvelous
Matz.
Peter Matz.
Marvelous pianist. We will continue with Rosemary, Peter Matz, right after this short break. And now accompanied by the award-winning pianist Peter Matz, here is Rosemary Clooney, and the song is called Our Love Is Here to Stay.
The more I read the papers, the less I comprehend the world and all its capers, and how it all will end. Nothing seems to be lasting, but that isn't our affair. We've got something permanent, I mean in the way we care. It's very clear our love is here to stay, not for a year, but ever and a day. Telephone and the movies that we know may just be passing fancies, and in time may go. But oh my dear, our love is here to stay. Together we're going a long, long way. In time, the Rockies may crumble, Gibraltar may tumble, they're only made of clay. But our love is here to stay. Our love is here to stay.
Many thanks, Rosemary. Bless you, my dear. Thanks, Peter. Back after these messages.